Hey buds, welcome to another week of the Homegrown Helpers. This is your host, Rob Smith, bringing you another home grower interview jam-packed with advice to help you excel at cannabis cultivation. We're so pumped to be helping you on your journey to grow better, cleaner, healthier medicine. This week, I am joined by HG Burner. You can find him right on Instagram at HG Burner. And this turned out to be a really dialed in dynamic episode, and I'm pumped to share it with you guys. We don't, waver off of the main topic, and that is strain selection, beginner breeding tips, setting up your room to find that right strain, setting up your grow to find that right strain for you, whether that's making it yourself or going through pheno hunts or seed runs or whatever you want to call them. That's what this episode is all about. And, HG Burner has a unique and detailed setup. And we go through all that. We go through the history, but then we really dig into it for quite a while. All about popping beans. And I know, a lot of you have some trepidation about that. And this isn't just about, getting propagation set up. It's about finding that strain for you. And we give some tips and some great advice in there. So I really hope you enjoy it. So what else is happening over at GrowPass? Well, the time has come and we are finally open and ready to elevate your grow skills within the doors at mygrowpass.com. Now, you all know what we offer. We offer tons of resources. We offer tons of audio content. We offer giveaways galore. We offer exclusive discounts that can only be found inside the doors at MyGrowPass. But really, we offer access. We offer help. We offer the team that's going to help you achieve the success that you want in your cannabis grow. So head on over to mygrowpass.com, grab your membership today. If you're not ready to grab a regular membership, start a trial. I'm going to give you a discount code. That discount code is FREE7. That's just going to knock off the $3. That's going to give you free access for 7 days. It's limited access. It's not the whole thing, but we wanted you to see it. So head on over to mygrowpass.com/trial, start a trial, enter in the code FREE7 and get started. We can't wait to have you, and we just want to help. So one of our partners for today's show is Sweetleaf. Sweetleaf.com, SUITELEAF.com. Use code GROWCAST15 to get yourself 15% off all their line of nutrients, the tents, the grow lights, everything at sweetleaf.com. This is just a matter of days before they are no longer a partner. So if you are curious, use the code now before it is no longer active. Sweetleaf.com. Now let's get you into this episode with HG Burner. Enjoy. And here we go again, boys and girls, with another Homegrown Helpers episode. I have HG on the phone, just a couple, like an hour north of me, up northern Massachusetts. Welcome to the show, HG.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you doing today?
Not too bad. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we were chit-chatting a little bit before the show, and I think, guys, this is going to be one of those ones that you're really going to want to tune into because we don't do enough of this kind of talk, and it's very going to be very detailed. So this is just going to be really all about strain selection, popping seeds, trying to find that right strain for you. So HG is going to bring us through his whole process, but of course, we have to kick it off with a little introduction. So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you come from, and your history with cannabis, and most importantly, what got you to this point where we're chatting today and you're sharing your story with us.
Well, thanks for having me on once again. And, most likely, just like everybody else, started as a teenager, trying new stuff, and it kind of went off from there. I always had a dream of just growing cannabis, and with the legalization of Massachusetts, that was able to happen, and it took off from there. And I've been at it straight for about 5 years now, and absolutely love everything about it.
So Mind me asking, what got you into cannabis? Like you said, it's like most other people, but what we found is we have a large audience of people that are just getting into smoking cannabis and just getting into growing cannabis. So what got you to that point where you were consuming and then you're consuming enough that it's like, all right, like I want to learn about this plant and how to grow it?
So that's a funny question. It's always been around. I grew up with it all around me. It's been in my family for a long time. Not exactly growing it, just consuming it. So it was easy to pick up and just try it out.
So does that mean like your family was growing and it's kind of like, ingrained in you? Or
there is growers in the family, yes.
Okay.
And there is current growers. There is past growers, yes. So yeah, there is definitely.
Okay, cool. And kind of, you've been growing for 5 years. What's been your biggest challenge when you were getting growing?
There's a lot of challenges. Indoor growing can become a pain in the ass with pests, powdery mold if you don't have proper circulation and air movement. Those are really the biggest challenges. Proper lighting could be trouble. If you're trying to cheap out and go cheap, you're not going to get anything. You're not going to do the right thing. It's just you're not going to get a right product at the end of the day.
Gotcha. So next thing up is we'd love to get invited into your grow room. So share with us the dirty down and dirty details of, light brands, light sizes, pot sizes. What do you use for nutrients? Your rotation, any controllers, and name names of things that work and things that suck, because nothing's better than personal experience, and anybody that's grown for more than 6 months has bought something that they're like, F that, I'm never using that again. So
when I first started out, I like I said, I experienced the cheapness of the lights because they are a little pricey when you're first getting going. And I bought some cheapies off of Amazon. They were a full spectrum, blurple lighting, the cheapest shit you could get, $25 a light. So I bought like 8 panels, threw them in a tent, and I was like, yeah, there's enough wattage in here. Yeah, it doesn't work. It still doesn't work. You know what I mean? It works great for veg. You'll still get a great growth, but as far as flower, you're just not going to get anything. I mean, the yield was terrible, but it was a great learning experience. I came across a lot of problems with nutrient uptake and pH adjustment, and all the basic things went through my first grow. So I got a huge grasp on everything they could really come across within that first few months, which was really, really good. And also the community on Instagram has been incredible. I mean, there's always people willing to answer questions, and as long as you're willing to listen, I mean, you'll get the knowledge you're looking for.
Well, sometimes. And then sometimes you'll get the knowledge that is completely wrong.
You got to weed it out. You have to, you have to have the basic knowledge to know, who to believe and who not to.
Yeah. Yeah. So we talk a lot about that on this show, and and how to kind of get past that, like, information overload, and then find that person. And what I say is, when you ask a question and you get 7 people saying it, do this, and 2 people saying do this, and 1 person that says do this, start with the 7 people. It's okay to start with the majority when it comes to something like that.
Yep.
And if it doesn't work for you, then maybe the advice of the 2 people, and then work your way down. But don't go right to the one dude that's like, oh, if you hang your plants upside down and you give them 2 hours of light, 2 hours of dark, 2 hours of light, you'll harvest in 30 days or less.
Yeah.
Don't take that advice.
Yeah, please don't do that.
Yeah.
Do some research. There's books.
Yeah, right. So let's get back to your grow room. You start off with some pretty crappy lights, and we talk about if you're going to invest in anything, invest in lights.
Yes.
Because that feeds the plant. So we are right there with you as an audience, but let's get back in your grow room.
So we'll go back to the lighting. So I learned from there, and I went to full spectrum boards, and I've tried out some CMH lighting. HPS. I've tried it all. I like the boards personally. They're low wattage, they're low energy. You still get a great product at the end of the day. They're good for veg. They're good for bloom. There's many different brands. They're basically all the same. You just got to do your research on them. But I enjoy it. Spider Farm, they're good. HLG is great. I just got a recent sponsor from Bloom Plus. They're great people over there. Their lights are great. They're working awesome. As far as everything else, I'd really just, to the new growers, I'd say keep it simple. You know what I mean? Start basic. Don't try to go 0 to 100 because you'll kill yourself. It's just not worth it. But controlled environments is key. You have to have enough air circulation in there or you're doomed for powdery mold. You're doomed for pests. Personally, in mine, I like to keep a nice big fan. It's mounted in the back of the room. It's oscillating. There's usually a sticky pad in there somewhere just in case because you never know. And plenty of exhaust to control the temperature and humidity. You have to. It's key. For veg, I like to keep around, say 82 degrees, 50% humidity, maybe a little higher. And for flowers, usually around 80 during the day. And, I like to drop down lower in the winter time, obviously, just because of the environment outside here in Massachusetts. But I typically get it down to about 60. Sometimes it drops into the 50s. I use absolutely no heating source, no AC units. I completely control everything with air circulation and exhaust. A lot of people throw their money away, I feel, with ACs and stuff like that. But I understand when they're using HPS, you kind of don't have a choice. It is what it is. That's why I prefer the boards, or cob lighting is great. That's low heat, low wattage, but you still get a great product.
Did I miss, did you already drop the name of the lights that you are currently using?
I did drop a few names, yeah.
What are you currently using for lighting? What did you land on?
I got the Cob Shop, cob lighting in there. I got Spider Farm. I got HLG boards. I got Plano T5s. And my new sponsor is Bloom Plus. I'm testing out some lights for them. And they've been great. And that's about all the brands I'm using currently.
Okay, cool. Now let's talk soil and how are we treating the plants? Is it what kind of nutrients? Are you organics? What's the deal with that?
Yeah, so I started out synthetic just because it's really basic, it's really easy. But I quickly switched to organic just because I'm talking to a few people and, you know what I mean? They say, the flavor's different, everything's different. So I said, all right, I'll give it a shot. And it really was. It really changed my view on cannabis growing completely because there's a lot more to think about than just pouring nutrients from a bottle and mixing it in with water. You know what I mean? You have to really think about what the plants actually need and become more in tune with your garden. And so that really helped to take it to the next level. And so as far as soil, I switched over to M3 soil, which is an organic living soil. And that was really great. All you have to do is add water. As long as you have a big enough pot, it grows. It has everything you need right in the soil. Obviously, if you want to step it up, you can always top amend or make up some type of tea. And then I went into trying to make super soil myself. That worked out great. Just became a pain in the ass. But I did that for a long time. And just recently, I went back to M3 soil. And I'm actually switching over very shortly to any compost, local soil maker. And they're the same thing, living soil, completely 100% organic. And that's about it for soil. I mean, as far as that, I just keep it basic. I wouldn't overthink it, really. It's just not worth it.
So let's dig into you said it was the right plant, right pot size, or you have enough soil. So what's your process for making sure that you have enough soil?
So with my process is a tad different than your basic grower, only because I grow for plant selection and take it through the next level in breeding and making seeds. So I try to make them quick so I can really check out the plants fast so I can, continue to make more seeds. So with that being said, as a head stash run, I would typically go with a 5 or 10 gallon pot. And with that being said, it would be switched to, if I was in a 3 gallon, I would switch it to a 5 gallon crate as a flip, just to give it all that new root room and growth space for that first couple of weeks of stretch into flower. And for hunting runs, I really tend to keep everything in half gallons just to run a bunch of them and in a minimal amount of space and quick runs so you can check out the whole plant, you know what I mean, top to bottom very quickly. They're not 5-foot plants, they're 2-footers. You can check it out very fast. But with that being said, when you're doing half gallon runs, you got to be able to make sure you know how to top them in and make compost tea, because it's just not going to be enough nutrients in a half gallon pot.
Yeah, I mean, we talk a lot about up-potting and making sure. My experience was with Sohum, and I don't know if you've ever had the pleasure of using theirs, but
I actually just recently tried theirs. It was actually a great run. Good.
Did you up-pot or did you just run with it?
Yeah, I just ran with it. I just grabbed a couple bags. Local grow shop recommended. Oh yeah, try it out. So I always try out the new products that they have. And I ran great.
Yeah, so my issue with Soham, and that was the only water-only soil that I've used, was, first off, I didn't bottom feed. So I was kind of flushing nutrients out with every watering. And I never watered to runoff, but I was diluting or, wetting the nutrients in the top, and then it would work its way down the bottom. And over time, it's just, kind of washed out.
Yeah.
And then I didn't up-pot. I never up-potted between veg and flower. I always went right into my 10 gallons and then just let them go. And I ran out probably like 5 weeks into flower. I was noticing lots and lots of yellowing.
Yeah.
So I, went Nectar of the Gods to keep it organic and got the plants through, but did love the outcome of that. So, and we had previously partnered with M3. Swan's a great guy, trying to get him back on for another giveaway or something. So stay tuned for that type of giveaway, guys.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Anything else about your grow room that we didn't cover?
Let's see. Keep it clean. You got to keep it clean. That's number one. Any fallen leaves, debris, anything in there, get it out of there. Pests love this stuff. This year has been incredibly hard for powdery mold outside here anyways. I don't know how anywhere else is. Coming into your grow room, if you're coming in from outside, change your shirt, change your clothes. It's just not worth it. So as far as that goes, I mean, everything else is, it's keep it clean and keep it simple. You know what I mean? That's really it for the grow room.
Now, you mentioned that you don't do any air conditioning, and I'm surprised by that because of...
A lot of people are.
Yeah, I mean, we've had some disgustingly hot and humid days up here in the Northeast. And
I've had a couple of temperature spikes for sure. You know what I mean? But it was a brief, quick temperature spike,
right.
and it dissipated.
I have to assume that you're probably growing in the basement in order to keep temperatures low?
Yeah, it's a basement grow.
Okay. And we're going to take a quick break to thank our friends at Fishhead Farms and their product, Fish Shit. Aquaponics in a bottle. It doesn't get much more simple, but it doesn't get much more effective than this. You can use this product on seedlings, through veg, through flower, all the way up to harvest. Soil conditioner, people use it in hydro applications, people use it in cocoa. I mean, the stuff is just versatile and extremely useful. It doesn't smell great, I'll be honest with you. It smells exactly what you would expect. It's fish shit. It is literally poop harvested from a tilapia farm in Rhode Island or Massachusetts. I've known the owner, Tom, for a long time. Great guy. Hit up fishheadfarms.com. Use the code growcast to get yourself 10% off. our members receive 25% off all of their fish poop from fishheadfarms.com. So use code growcast at checkout and get yourself 10%. Now, let's get back into this episode with HG Burner. Let's kind of shift gears and let's get into the strain selection conversation, because you kind of hinted at it in your grow setup. You know, if you're looking for that strain, if you're popping a bunch of beans. But I want to go back to the beginning. How do you decide what strains to buy? Like, are you loyal to one or two breeders? Do you look at the moms and the dads and base things off that? Are you looking, you know, just like, hey, that looks like a great strain. It smells great. Sounds great. Like, let me try that. Like, what's your process with that?
So I like to look for something that excites me. As far as I go for a lot of the old school strands. I really enjoy the old school yield, the flavor. You just can't beat it. You know, the old 90s strands, maybe early 2000, those are always great. The new hype strands are great too. There is a lot of good stuff coming out there. It's really hard to select something new to pop. But when something comes across, you kind of just know it. You know what I mean? So with that, it's just something that comes. I don't know how to explain it. You get excited for something and you have to do it. So you just do it. And so with that being said, you grab a pack, I'll soak them up in either pucks, or I'll even just throw them right in soil. I really don't ever just soak them in water unless they're really old seeds.
Okay.
I might even take a nail file to them. That always works great, just to soften that hard shell around it. I've had great success with that. It works great.
Interesting. Do you do that with all beans or just the older stock that you might have?
Just the older ones. I've had some old sour diesel seeds given to me. I've had old Thai stick seeds, AK-47. There's been a few that have come around they've told me they're old, you know what I mean? And It's been friends or whatever. And so I'd throw one in and it wouldn't pop. So I'm like, all right, they have to be messed with. So I'll either crack them with needle nose pliers, or like I said, my new favorite is just grabbing a nail file and just shaving their edge around it. And great success. Unbelievable success.
Now, my job is to explore the edges here. So what happens if you file a seed a little too much?
You just try not to. I kind of use my fingertips as a guide. So I only stick the seed out so far. So the nail file can only go so far. Otherwise, you're scraping your fingertips and it's going to hurt yourself. So you kind of stop anyways.
So you're just trying to kind of scuff the outside to remove a little bit of that hard shell. And,
just kind of like, you know, the edging of the seed, you know, the seam of the seed.
Okay.
I kind of just scuff that a little bit.
Okay, so you're not doing the whole thing. You're
No. Just the seam around the edge, because obviously that's where it's cracking. So I just try to soften that up a little bit.
So we had somebody tag us in an Instagram post recently, and she or he, I think it was a she. I don't know why I said that first, but it was a seed that had popped, and there was, you know, she was trying to remove the casing because, you know, the shell casing some kind of stay on for a little while after the plant starts growing. And she said there was like this odd growth coming out of the center. You know, the two first colloidal leaves had popped, and there was this weird growth coming out of the center, and she was fiddling around with it and then chopped off one of the first leaves with a pair of scissors. She's like, what do I do? And I was like, don't do that. Like, Mother Nature is going to take control here. Like, you know, that plant is for thousands of years is trained to grow towards that light. And, you know, when it grows, you know, if it has a little bit of odd growth, it will correct itself. So newbies, beginners, like, sometimes you just gotta trust Mother Nature and let her do her thing sometimes.
Let it go. Especially if you're just growing for just growing, you know what I mean? If you're just growing for some bud for yourself or a couple buddies, just let it go. It'll do its thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's also experimentation and you know, seeing like
you never know what you're gonna get.
Exactly.
Plants are incredible.
So One thing I was surprised by is you don't ever or typically ever go into water. What's your success rate with going right into soil, and how moist is that soil? Kind of give us that rundown. Do you put it a quarter inch in the soil, or
So if it's directly soil, I use the plant plug trays, and I'll just fill them with soil. I'll pack them down pretty good so they're kind of like a compressed plug.
Okay.
I'll give them a good soaking down, and I'll usually leave about a half inch of water in the bottom of the tray until I start to see them pop, just to make sure that they're always wet in there. And obviously, you go in and check them, and you miss the tops, and you miss your dome and all that stuff. But definitely very, very moist if you're going right into soil. Definitely, same thing right into plugs or the expandable pucks. Those are great too. Those stay very, very wet just by themselves. So the success rate has been really good, actually.
Well,
I really don't have any problems with it. I test my own genetics that way to make sure that the pop rate is great. The germination rate is good. Occasionally, like I said, I'll go for the soak mode for a video or something like that, or like I said, the old seeds. But typically I'm right into the soil. I just let Mother Nature do its thing. Only the strong survive.
okay. Now let's take it into the next phase here, and walk us through strain selection and how we decide what to keep around, what makes the cut, and take us to the next step.
All right. So as far as that goes, I try to pop as many seeds as I can of one strand. Unfortunately, sometimes you can only get one pack, or it's an old seed run and there's only 10 or 15 seeds available. But if there's a lot, I like to pop a lot. 25, 50, 60, 75 seeds of one strand, and right off the bat, you're going to have some that don't pop. You're going to have some that are really growing really slow, way behind any others. And those are usually the first to go within the first week. I start pulling them, and then I go from there. They'll go into their solo cups, and they'll go in there for a few weeks. And then you start selecting from there as well. You'll see the stunted growth on some that you might not like. You might see some structure you might not like, fatter leaves, thinner leaves, maybe not something you're looking for. So you stop pulling from there. And then typically I'd go into a half-gallon pot from there, give it about 2-3 weeks in veg, pull your last couple that you might not like, and then immediately go to flower and really see what you got. Right before flower, I like to sex them all and just to kind of go through them so I can kind of separate and see what I got going on and what to look for where. So that's as far as plant selection right at the beginning stages. The next stage would be...
Hold on, I got questions before we go into the next stage.
All right.
So we're sticking in veg for right now.
All right.
You talked about structure, and I want to ask, stunted growth structure, what should people be looking for, and be as specific as you can? Talk to me like I've never grown a plant before, and you're trying to tell me what the perfect plant to keep around in veg looks like.
Well, at a certain point, you start to see the nodes separate, and you'll start to see the nodes get a little bit closer together or further apart, depending on the strand. But you kind of have to know what you're going to be looking for within that strand. You have to do a little bit of research. And so as far as a good sativa plant, obviously you want nice thin leaves, you want nice stringy structure, and, a thin plant. If you're going, indica or something along that line, you'd want obviously a fatter leaf. You'd want really, really tight structure. You'd want to look for a nice thick plant. So you don't want a mutant plant. You could pop up a single head in the middle and it starts to just self-top itself. Those are fun. They're great to grow. I never throw them out, but it's not typically what I'm looking for. You don't want to continue that mutant trait into the next level.
Right. Now, you said you kind of keep them all around, but you're looking for that one to kind of either do a home breeding project with or take a couple cuttings, right before or right at the beginning of flowers. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I typically look for that if I'm running some seeds, I don't make the breeding selection as I go. I make my selections in veg.
Mhm.
I flip them all the rest to flower, and then I make my selections at the end of flower, male and female,
Okay.
for my typical run.
Okay.
I do firmly believe you should always run your plants before you actually use them, unless maybe you're doing a preservation run or something like that, different situation.
Now, say we're putting, say we popped 20 beans, where we end up with 12 females and we're looking to only put 6 into a tent. How many clones are you taking from those 6 that are going in to ensure that you have the success rate and have properly kept that plant around? Because you never know what one plant is going to be, the pheno winner. So how do you decide, or how many clones do you take in order to make sure that you're properly covered?
Yeah, so cloning can become a pain in the ass. If you don't have nice, healthy plants, you're going to fight yourself all the way. But I like to keep a couple cuts of every single plant right off the bat initially, just to ensure that I have at least one good cut at the end of it. You might lose a cut here and there. Recently, I've been taking 3 of every plant just because I want to, I guess.
That's the number that was in my head. That's what I always did.
Yeah. I mean, recently I've been trying to go for 3 just because, you know what I mean? Like I said, you typically you might lose one, and, a couple might be healthier than that last one. So you always have one to chuck, you know what I mean?
Bingo. Exactly what I always did. I probably, like you, have 95% or higher success rate with clones.
Yeah, pretty good rate.
But shit always happens. And as a grower, shit always happens. And the one time that you only take 1 clone of each, your cloner pump's going to die, the light will die, and then you'll come in 12 hours later and everything's dead. And, and
I actually just recently lost about 5 cuts, but thankfully they were cuts of friends or cuts that I've already given out to friends.
Right.
So they're all on their way back.
Cool.
Life just got too crazy and shit dried out, and it happened. So it cuts.
It does. There's something, I'm not the only grower that has this motto, but if it can go wrong in the grow room, it will go wrong in the grow room.
Yes.
I remember times sealing up my ducting. I mean, okay, it's all set, and then coming in 6 hours later and having the ducting laying on the floor. I'm like, how does this even happen? You're zip tied and duct taped up there, and now the whole thing's on how does this even happen? Or you walk in and the plant's all of a sudden on the ground. What the hell? So a couple more questions about the veg process, then we'll kick it over to strain selection in flower. When do you start training those plants? Do you train the plants the first time through, or are you looking to fully experience the plant without any manipulation?
So with selection, I like to just run it natural.
Yep.
I really want to see exactly what it's going to do naturally without me really doing anything to it. For a head stash run, train the shit out of that thing and get as many heads as you can.
Yep. Okay. And you typically, like you said, won't be training until after you've run a strain at least once.
Yeah, I like to run it at least once.
Okay.
Really get a good grasp of what you're getting before you actually use it.
And next question, I'll lead right into flower, is sexing before flower. Walk us through that. What should people be looking for? Because, of course, the easiest way is to wait to see, wait for those first 7 to 14 days in flower, and you start seeing the pistils and ball sacks.
And pollen sacks.
Yeah. So what should they be looking for pre-flower? And is this only on seeds, or do you get to see it on clones as well?
So you can definitely see it on both seeds and clones. Definitely clones, especially if you're taking them fresh from flower, they tend to show a bit more, especially right in the beginning when you throw them back into veg.
Well, I guess on the flip side, you shouldn't be taking clones of your males. When you're taking clones, you should already know the sex.
Yeah, true that.
Yeah.
But either way, I mean, you could see them, no problem on clones typically.
Okay.
But as far as seeds, pre-flower typically begins around week 6 or so, depending on how much you're messing with them, how much you're trimming them. but you might need a pocket microscope of some sort because they are sometimes hard to see from the naked eye if you're not exactly sure what you're looking for. So they typically, you look between the nodes, obviously, and you're looking for pistils or ball sacks, and pistils females, sacks are males, and you make quick selection from there. You can always tell from there. I mean, you might come up on a Hermie right off the bat. You just never know. I mean, plants are crazy, so they can do whatever the hell they want.
All right, then let's get us into the flowering room, and what are you looking for when culling the herd?
So with females, I'm looking for a quick kickoff. I like the quick flower. Obviously, a nice thick structure, plenty of frost. You know, the basic needs of any cannabis plant. With males, I like to see not so fast of a flower. I like to a little bit later. I've come across a lot of them lately that they're starting to pop off and veg, and I get rid of those. I don't want any type of auto in my lines. It's just not what I'm looking for. But I like a nice thick structured female. I like really tight noting. That's what I always strive for. Obviously, certain strands, you're just not going to get it, especially the lengthy sativas and stuff like that. But the indicas are really easy to come across a nice heavy yielder, as long as you're picking the right strands.
So take this a little bit further, I guess. If you're trying to pick a mom, to breed with, and, we put those 6 plants into the tent, but you can only keep one of them around as a mom or to carry on that lineage.
Yeah.
What are you looking for out of that 1 out of 6 chance?
So when you're putting up 6 plants, I guess it's a little bit harder to make your selection, I would say. Like I said, I like a lot of plants to make my selection because it's a lot easier to see that first one that really pops your eye. And it could be the frost that gets you. It could be you could have color in the budding. You could have better structure on one than another. It could just be an easier grow. And also I look for, did it clone well? Because if it doesn't clone well, it doesn't clone easy. That could become a pain in the ass later on down the line. But it all comes down to letting it cure and, trimming it up. Diamond Cut Company always letting it cure and having the smoke test. I mean, it really comes down to that. Just recently, before this whole COVID thing happened and the lab closed, we started getting the newer strain nugs tested, just to have that paperwork to go with the new strand, so you can see exactly what you're signing up for as far as potency and terpene profile and everything like that. So, well,
just so you know, MCR is back open taking appointments. I'm heading up there next week.
I heard they are back open and we are ready to go. So
I'll tell you, I hopped on Google and just to make sure they're open, and I saw they were only open one day. It was Thursday from 1 to 4. I was like, what? How are you supposed to do business open? What? Like,
yeah,
I know COVID, but like pretty much every business is open now if you wear a mask, the proper type of stuff. And so I clicked through their website and they were like, now taking appointments. So I made an appointment, and 30 minutes later I get an email from them that says, we're now ready to open and take appointments. And I was like, am I literally they hadn't even emailed people. Like, I just stumbled in and found that they were taking appointments. So counted myself as lucky with that.
Yeah.
So I just kind of want to fashion things around that 6 plant. 6 plants kind of seems to be the average, and a lot of my audience does not want to go over their legal limit, and I cannot blame them.
No, absolutely understandable.
So strain selection, the more beans that you can pop, the better chances you get at finding that right one, the right one for you.
Absolutely.
But do you keep clones around and keep nurturing those young plants all the way through flower, all the way through a proper dry and cure, and then the smoke test to be able to say, okay, this is the one? Or do you kind of cull the herd a little bit between then?
I mean, you kind of know, you kind of have your eye on one. I guess you could call it like grower's intuition. I mean, you kind of have your eye on that special one. all the way through the process, especially once you hit flower, you really get to see what the plant's made of and what it's got to offer. And so, yeah, it really does. It comes down to obviously the smoke test. I mean, I've made mistakes in the past where I say, yeah, that's the one. And, it comes down to the smoke test and that wasn't the one, you know what I mean? Another one just blows your socks off. So it really does come down to the smoke test. That's how I've always tested my stuff. Like I said, just recently we started going to the lab for it, to have that on paper for the consumer.
Cool. Well, I think we're going to wrap things up there. Honestly, I hear my daughter going to bed in the other room, and I need to make sure I get in there. You mentioned Diamond Cutco, and of course, Diamond Cutco is a partner of ours, and they're the ones that hooked us up and made sure we got to do this great interview for you guys. So shout out to Diamond Cutco and the guys over there. I think it's GCM 15 to get 15% off all their 5 or 6 different pairs of snips. So shout out to those guys. Let's wrap things up. Any last bits of advice, and how can people find and connect with you?
Well, the last piece of advice, like I said at the beginning of the show, is especially for the new growers, keep it simple, keep it basic, don't cheap out on your equipment. And that's about it. I mean, that's really as far as it goes, especially for the new growers. Keep it organic as well. I mean, it's the only way to go.
Cool. And where can people find and connect with you?
Hit me up on Instagram. I'm hoping to open up a YouTube channel soon. Obviously, there'll be plenty of notification on Instagram for that. As far as any other platforms, I'm not on there yet. So I'll get there though.
Nah, man. Instagram is definitely the cannabis friendly platform, but Twitter has a strong cannabis community, but it's hard to get traction there, So
yeah,
Instagram is really where it's at. So
yeah, that's where I've started. One of my friends turned me onto it a long time ago. About 5 years ago, and I haven't really turned back since. So
awesome. Well, guys, you know what to do. Give HG Burner a follow. Let him know you heard him on the podcast. Appreciate his education, and maybe we'll get him back for a part 2 and talk about breeding practices for the home grower. What do you think?
Oh, there's plenty to talk about. There's too many subjects when it comes to cannabis, but yeah, I'd definitely be willing to come back on. It'd be great.
Cool. Well, look out for that episode, guys, and make sure you rate, review, subscribe, and share the show. Until next time, happy growing, and take care of yourself.
Thanks for having me.